John in the Hole had a lot of potential. The narrative is an interesting concept. John is an interesting character, but I don't think it met that potential. This was released in 2021. It's directed by Pascual Sisto, written by Nicolás Giacobone. I apologise if I've mispronounced any of those names. And we have a cast including Charlie Shotwell, Jennifer Ehle, Michael C. Hall, and Taissa Farmiga. And John is a young boy who discovers a hole in the ground. It's a bunker. And the next thing we know, he's drugged his family and dropped them into the bunker. And obviously they wake up there and they can't get out. It's really, the walls are really high and they don't initially know how they got there. And honestly, that's it. That's all that happens. Not much else happens. It's partly about the family trying to work out, first of all, what happened and then how to get out. And it's partly about John living on his own and having that freedom. And that's it. There's very little substance. Nothing else happens. It just does not deliver at all. So as a narrative, it's actually tremendously boring. Literally nothing else happens. And John as a character definitely is quite interesting, but I feel like they're only scratching the surface of his character, and they could have done so much more with the character. They could have explored the character a lot more, made him a little bit more fascinating. I think they tried, and they succeeded a tiny bit, but I feel like there's so much more there with the character, and it just didn't really come across. And the same with the narrative. There's so much more they could have done. It's not really thrilling at all. It is a psychological thriller, but I use the word thriller very, very lightly because there's not really anything in it that's particularly thrilling. And that's it. Nothing else happens. But there's so much potential there. They could have done so much more with this. So, unfortunately, I can't really recommend it because the concept is amazing, but the execution is very, very poor. I think on paper it was a good idea. I think it does sound like it could have been a good experience, but unfortunately it didn't deliver on any count at all. It's not suspenseful, it's not thrilling. Most of the characters are not very well developed. John as a character, yeah, I think he was quite interesting, but I think, as I said, they only seem to scratch the surface of his character. So while the narrative has nothing to offer, as a character, John could have carried the film, but they needed more there. There's not enough there for that to be the case. So, in general, I can't recommend John in the Hole because it does not deliver. It delivers nothing. There's nothing there at all. It's basically the general concept, and nothing develops beyond that. So, it needs a tremendous amount of work, but it had the potential. It could have been good. Maybe in other hands, it could have been a really thrilling psychological film that has, maybe raises a lot of questions. It doesn't necessarily have to answer those questions, but the only question I had was why? And I guess also, what's the point? And it didn't deliver. So, not a good film, doesn't work very well, but it had potential. But because it doesn't meet that potential, it doesn't even come close. Unfortunately, I can't recommend it.